But yeah,
What's the topic, Jared? What is the topic?
first, I think we need to chat about Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan, that lovely country right next to Uzbekistan,
Yeah,
which everyone knows where that is, right?
Well, Kazakhstan's a former state in the USSR. Kazakhstan, so it's in the Stan region. So what that means is um, Southwest Asia,
Yes.
Middle Eastern, North Middle East, maybe not Southwest South, Midwest, West South, kind of, yeah.
The people are like a mix of Russians and Asians.
It's in
It's
this.
it's a really unique look.
It's from the steppe. Historically speaking, I know I brought this up before, but the steppe is where the horse archer was born. It's where the Turks and the Huns and the Mongols all come from. So, and that's where it's at.
And they're a tough people. They've had a hard history, and they're about to have some more hard times.
So yeah. So what from what we know, I'm just gonna free ball it. I know you had it up earlier, but it sounds like they've had a virtual dictatorship for the last if I remember 12 years, 13 years. And they had a gas price and overall price hike. When your gas prices go up, for those of you who argue about gas prices going up isn't a bad thing, everything is brought to you by gas. Everything. I don't care what it is. It's made by gas. It's delivered by gas, and you go buy it with gas. So,
And from what I heard, their gas prices went up to about equivalent what we're paying now. But they have a salary of somewhere between 200 and 300 a month on average.
there's that. Their gas prices went up to where it was occupying like 30%. Well, they had a more than doubling of gas over the last couple months. So they started rioting. Well, they started protesting. Then the police got turned on them. Then they started rioting. Then the police joined them. So then the government brings in anti-riot military. Now, I think they do have kind of a national police, but some of the police in some of the cities joined them. Russia has landed in Kazakhstan. They landed there 2 days ago. You read off was 3,000 troops.
3,000 paratroopers.
So that'd be a brigade level force. So that's not a small force. I mean, a brigade in the matter of war is nothing to shake a stick at.
I mean, imagine like 3,000 Chinese people landing here in Tooele.
Or imagine
something, you know?
3,000 U.S. soldiers dropping in from from Fort Bragg and the, paratroopers. Right. So it'd be the Rangers.
Question is, like, what kind of gun laws do the regular citizens have to live with? Would they even be armed to protect themselves? I don't know.
That's a big question. Well, the president put out today, shoot to kill. He put out shoot orders.
Yep. No need to warn.
Yep. No warning. No.
You can shoot to kill.
Shoot to kill protesters and rioters.
And he's claiming that these rioters are actually trained insurgents from foreign lands.
Have you watched any of the videos on it?
I haven't seen the videos, just reading the stories.
We're talking riots, or we're talking protests and riots of thousands of people where they're dominating streets and cities. I don't know who's foreign that's shipping them over and training them, but hey,
it's a big train.
They need to open up a vacation spot and make some money off this deal. That's a lot of people getting trained overseas or over borders, but maybe not overseas. But anyway, so yeah, it's going wild over there. Their whole I don't know if they call it the Duma there still, but their whole government officials, elected officials. Their president is not elected, and he's leaving, but he handpicked who's replacing him. But the whole group all quit en masse.
Now, I know they shut down the internet, and there were a lot of Bitcoin mines in Kazakhstan. Yesterday, if you're following the price of Bitcoin, it went down another $2,000 or $3,000.
That could be. Now, I didn't put that together, but Kazakhstan was one of the places when China cracked down, they moved across to Kazakhstan and opened up their mines there.
Yes, they did.
Now, Kazakhstan is in that fairly close to China. I think they border, a part of them borders on China, which is why the mines probably moved there. And that may be why we're seeing Bitcoin, kerfuffle.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's going wild there. Then, so everyone keep your eye on Kazakhstan. It might be the kickoff of something new.
It's definitely not really that intensely reported on in the news here.
No,
But it's an interesting international story that I think deserves a little airtime. So
it is. And is there a good guy, bad guy? Obviously, a dictator's a bad guy. Russia going in to support him's a bad guy, but we don't know what the protesters, I mean, they need gas, but what caused their gas prices to go up? Was it a tax? So, I don't know. Destabilization's always one of them questionable things. And then we've obviously yesterday was, or was it yesterday or was it the day before? Yeah, yesterday was January 6th, the anniversary of,
the first one,
so
the anniversary of the only riot that mattered in 2020. Well, I mean, yeah.
what was it? The rioters on January 6th did $1.2 million worth of damage. Just the rioters in Michigan did $2.6 billion in damage.
It's okay if you're on the left, but if you're, let's face it, everyone at the January 6th riot, they were Republican types. And
Not everyone.
well, what else would they be?
Well, we had John on.
Well, okay, and those infiltrating the Republican types. But yeah, I mean, that was our one and only spotlight for riots as Republican types, and
Yeah.
and that was the most earth-shattering thing for Democrats, I guess.
Well, the news ran with it all day. CNN and MSNBC talked about how people there videotaping it have PTSD from it, the reporters. And
I'm just glad it didn't happen on September 11 because it would totally overshadow the fact that we lost the World Trade Center and 3,000 people. And
did you like how Kamala Harris come out and spoke about it?
I'll be honest, I don't listen to her that much.
She gave 3 dates. She said December 7th, 1941.
Okay.
Pearl Harbor.
I missed that one.
She said 9/11, 2001.
I was there.
And she said January 6th, 2021.
And even if I was
she
there,
compared the 3 of them. So that would be, so she compared, and let's call it what it was. They stormed the Capitol. It was dumb. It was.
What did they storm, or were the doors opened for?
Let's go with. I'm fully willing to go with they stormed it.
All right, let's go with it.
I'm fully willing to say they stormed it. And I said it when they were doing it, while it was going on, before it happened, after. Dumb. It was stupid. It caused some things to happen in the Senate and the Congress that probably worked against them that day for the objectives they wanted. But it was stupid. One person officially died from that. Sicknick didn't die from the riots. He died from a stroke. And then you had 3 other police officers commit suicide, and another one died of natural causes, I think a month later, right?
No. Did they commit suicide because of the riots?
I don't know.
I mean, like,
the suicides happened over the next month. We don't know. It's not like any of them left a suicide note. No, the horrible that I saw with that guy wearing the buffalo horn. So
oh my God. Yeah.
So anyways, but Kamala Harris compared it to Pearl Harbor. Death toll on Pearl Harbor.
It was quite significant.
I want to say like 6,000.
But that guy that died of the stroke. Now, aren't you supposed to be in a certain like health maintained order to be a police officer? Don't you have to have like PT standards or a weight standard, something like that, to have that physical capacity to?
Oh, you can have a stroke at any weight,
right?
You can, and let's be honest, the stroke may have been caused by actions that happened on the 6th,
like a blow to the head or something like that.
A blow to the leg, more likely. That's a blood clot form in the leg. But Then again, he could have had knee surgery a year before, and a blood clot breaks loose and it's cruising around it. But anyways,
we could even give that death as
okay.
a
So we'll
result
give him
to
2.
Okay.
All right. Pearl Harbor, 2,403 deaths.
Okay, there's a 2 in that.
Yeah, there's a 2 in there.
So 2.
And there's a 4 in there that's double the 2.
A radical 4 is 2.
So she's comparing January 6th to... Now, what it would be is if, and I said this on my other show, as if Japan took off, Japan flew their Zeros towards Pearl Harbor and then ran out of gas. They all crashed safely except one guy. He hit hard. Okay. That's what it'd be compared to. Because remember, as their story goes, the only one person that officially died was on the side that the media is against, was on the side that Kamala Harris is against. But always, the Democrats are real big on this political football. All right. Now, at the Twin Towers, it says here, nearly 6,000 innocent civilians died on 2001.
Well, I thought it was...
That's what I thought too, but it says it
3,000.
right there. Now, let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and pull it up officially.
That's substantially off from what I've previously heard.
Yeah, I always thought it was 3,000. Okay. Yeah, it looks like it's more 3,000. So, that was on that other site. So, 2,977 people were killed and 19 hijackers committed murder suicide, bringing the total number to 2,996. So she's comparing let's give her 2. 2 people dying to
And there's a 2 in
almost
that number
3,000.
too.
There is, and 2 9s and a 6.
So, okay, I get where she's coming from. The 2s are in each statistic.
What I find disgusting about it is that they are just using this as a political football. Especially right now, the Democrats are drowning. All the polls are out. The Democrats are dying. They're dying on the vine.
Well, I don't know. They're still in control. They're still ruining the economy. They're still voting.
Even what's that dink at CNN? Is it Stelter? I don't know, the fat guy. He's even saying that that they expect a red wave to happen in this year in the elections, just because of the economy. So I think the Democrats are saying, what can we grasp onto? Okay, yeah, remember January 6th, this is what happened. So, yeah.
Well, there is a 2 in all 3 of those statistical numbers, so I will give that to
I'm just super offended that they are I'm offended that they are comparing that day where, let's face it, what was it, 400 and some people stormed the Capitol.
Now,
one day they left that night. They walked between the ropes. They took a lot of selfies.
Yeah.
A guy farted on Pelosi's chair or whatever.
in their defense, though, I from someone who might have been there, that I won't confirm nor deny, apparently they were, as they were going in and out of rooms, they would turn off the lights as they left, just to make sure.
Well, don't remember that one guy stole the pew.
Well, he was taking a stand.
He was taking a stand. The other guy sat on Pelosi's desk and spit on it, and apparently reportedly passed gas on it or something. I mean, those are some pretty atrocious events. AOC's life was threatened in a different building down the street, but her life was threatened. She was in fear. Let's remember, all that stuff happened.
She was probably mixing drinks.
I see what you did there. She's a professional.
Well, all right. So
how about
January
AOC?
6th,
How about AOC going to Florida and
partying over there with the college kids and stuff? Yeah.
So she says DeSantis should take notes from that new dictator in New York on how to run a state. And then she escapes that new dictator to go on to Florida so she can live under freedom for a minute.
Now, I also heard a rumor Nancy Pelosi might be retiring to Florida.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi is retiring to Florida. She bought an $82 million, modest for a servant of the people house down there. But remember, modest.
I hope it has peasant quarters.
Only 2 or 3. I mean, let's face it, modest, very modest lifestyle. When you serve the people, you live modestly. You try to.
Come on, that is hilarious though. That Nancy Pelosi would choose Florida.
Well, why did AOC escape to Florida?
Well, she's not staying there though.
No,
I mean,
but
she just went to go party a little.
On her vacation, doesn't wear a mask, although she's in full support of making it mandatory for
Other
everyone
people.
else.
Yeah, the peasants.
Doesn't wear a mask. So yeah.
I mean, I totally get it. Yeah. And all right, so let's be honest though. Probably most of these Democrats are looking at the moment and they're saying, okay, this woke culture can provide me a job, some resources, and a good standard of living. So they take that role and they just run with it. Who knows how many really actually believe in this stuff?
Do you think they're doing that woke capitalism thing, or do you think? I often wonder. You look back to the early progressives, which were Republicans in the beginning, Teddy Roosevelt, those cats, and they felt like they were better than you, therefore they should. Not that they could, but it was their duty to mold your life for you, to be your boss, because they were
very similar to the white man's burden kind of attitude.
It is, and which is another thing that comes from these damn Christian progressives. But anyways, so it makes me wonder if that's not where these modern day Democrats sit.
Yeah, and again, I would bet Bitcoin that a lot of these guys really don't believe in this stuff, but they just put on the acting hat.
And that's the question.
And they get their paycheck.
That's the question. I mean, we had Kale on, and Kale, he didn't seem like he was at all on board with all that. He had his Democrat policies, but he didn't seem like he was on the force.
Mm-hmm.
Forcing people to live his lifestyle end of things. But then again, we've had other Democrats on here, even local ones, where I had to remind them, look, you're running for this position where you want to help everyone, but for your personal gain, you're making a decision that's hurting those people that you want to run for a position to help.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It makes me wonder, like they don't have a wide enough breadth of thought to take in everything that's going on. They just see one little window and hyper focus on that. So I don't know.
Yeah, excuse me. That Omicron.
Yeah, Omicron. I wondered if that's what what hit my family last month. Omicron. Remember when it first came out, the news before it hit here, deadliest thing ever, 5 times deadlier than, and now the CDC's even saying, yeah, if you catch it,
buy an extra box of tissues.
Yeah, buy an extra box of tissues. Stay home, we'll cut the time in half. We don't even care. Just, do whatever you want.
Just do what the flight attendant tells you.
That's what
it comes down to.
I still wonder what the heck is. I don't know. I'd like to know, are we this weak of a nation that we collapse over what happened the last 2 years? Or was it an economic ploy to get a president out that was an overreaction and they got to keep carrying it?
Well, what is an economic collapse for 2022 economy and culture? What is that? Does it mean like we can't pay our internet bill, or can America really collapse to the dark ages? I don't think it really could. I mean, we're a
Well,
very resourceful people.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
How
Remember
deep
those
could it go?
remember those ships that were stuck out in the California Bay?
Now, why were they stuck?
Well, for a couple reasons. One were the COVID mandates that were coming down from California,
Because they would get blasted by the government if they tried to make a move on the shore, right?
because the
that's what it comes
truckers
down
wouldn't
to.
enter California.
Oh, I thought you were talking about cruise ships with people.
Well, yeah, the cruise ships,
Now,
yeah, but
you're talking about cargo
they couldn't
ships.
get them unloaded. Yeah, the
Mhm.
cargo ships, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the cruise ships are a part of the economy, but cargo ships are a much more important, and that's a broad level stuff. Especially seeing how everything we buy seems to come in on them from somewhere else. Don't think we need to mention where, but so it was things like that. I mean, that's those are economic effects. Right now, okay. At my day job, we have purchased a piece of equipment that is sitting in a yard for 2 years now, waiting on an electronic piece to get there because the economy was disrupted. An item was purchased. It's there, but it just needs a chip put in it.
And you can't get a chip.
You can't get a chip.
Now, do you think it's because people aren't making the chips, or people are buying them all up and hoarding them like toilet paper, or are they just still on a boat?
I don't know. That's the question. No, they may get it yesterday or tomorrow, but to buy something and then have to sit for a year before it shows up. And we're saying buy something. This is, a $130,000, $140,000 purchase. This isn't, buying a computer. This is buying something substantial.
Mm-hmm.
And to have to sit and wait on it because we're waiting on an electronic part to show up, or try buying parts for your car.
How long do you think it takes Americans to build a chip factory?
I know I've been saying on the show forever, if someone was to start rebuilding ECMs, they'd be a millionaire. Because ECMs take forever. I don't know. But to build a chip factory from the ground up, originally it was done in Silicon Valley. Not anymore, because California regulated the ability for that to be done out. Then it was done in Texas. Some of it's done here. I don't know if it still is. Due to meet regulations that was handed down by the government, they shipped it over to China because companies could then make more money with it being made over there.
Yeah, I mean, this stuff is it's on the same level as like a strategic gender policy that's nationwide.
All right. Now, next subject. So what have you looked into on that strategic gender policy? So Nancy Pelosi,
It sounded like a bunch of fluff to me.
Kamala Harris wrote a White House announcement saying her and President Joe Biden are proud to announce they've come up with a national strategic gender policy, correct?
Correct. And to be honest, it was sometime late October that they came out with this.
Okay.
So, I mean, this isn't new.
Do we
news.
know what it is?
Yeah, that was the last I've heard of it, though. But they came out with it. So, I'm going to assume it's something amazing. And we probably spent a lot of money on it.
Okay, White House gender.
But I mean, if you were going to ask Kamala Harris to focus on something right now, that would be it. Because better that than something important.
So is it just about gender equality?
Yeah, that's.
So they just want to. Okay, so they're going to dive more into it. Sweden done it, and it just made. According to the numbers, it made everything in Sweden actually more drastic. So I don't
No,
know.
I don't know how we can make things more equal in America for the genders. I mean, is there anything a woman is prohibited
Ooh.
from doing that
I dig it.
a man?
I got it.
What?
No more urinals. Everyone has to
Squat?
sit down to pee. Ooh, holes in the ground.
Mm.
We go like China did. And Mao China. Everyone wears those black pajamas.
Oh, so we have like our own like gender neutral clothing.
Clothing, yeah. Haircuts. You'll have 4 styles you can have.
Okay, I'm listening. I'm receptive to this.
Oh yeah. So we could go all out. Men have to wear bras.
Well, if we keep eating the way we do these Navajo tacos, I mean, maybe it ain't a bad idea.
Yeah.
So,
All
all
right.
right.
It'll be trainer bras, for the average guy. What else could we do?
I really like the idea of the clothing line, like a
Just black
black
pajamas.
pantsuits.
Just not even a pantsuit, just a one-piece coverall, with a little flag on it on the lapel.
and I'd suggest burqas, but with the mask mandate, we don't even need burqas because it covers us up.
Yeah. Ooh. Now, hear me out. We have a choice of swimming suit. We can either force the men into the 2-piece or... You know what? I'm an open society guy. We'll let the beach choose which one is mandatory. What else? What else could we do? Because we all know that 77 cents on the dollar is fiction. Complete fiction. Our president, Barack Obama, was a downright liar when he mentioned it.
Well, I always pay women 70 cents versus $1.
77 cents. You're cheating them out?
Yeah.
Oh,
You
you're
usually
even
like
worse. God,
if you're a woman, you only get 77 cents. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna up the ante a little.
it's
bit when I hire
77 cents
women,
on the
right.
dollar.
Yeah.
What is never taken into account with that? Now, yes.
So does
motherhood-
Kamala Harris make less money because she's a woman?
God, I hope so.
I'm curious.
I don't know.
Seriously, do we pay her less money because she's a woman
Well, according to them, we do, but
than
we
we paid
shouldn't.
the last vice president?
Yeah. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know. How come we never publish when the president gets a raise?
Well, I don't know. It probably wasn't very interesting last presidency because Donald Trump would always give it away,
Yeah, he returned it back, even though, just for
and that wasn't very well
the
published.
one guy still hanging on. I'm not a supporter of Trump, though I would take him a million. Well,
I'm a supporter of
I don't know. I have to say Biden's been very entertaining.
Oh, sorry,
He
bro.
has been very entertaining. Remember how I enjoyed when Trump would get on Twitter at 3 a.m. while he's pinching off a heavy and just blast Twitter? I enjoyed that. That was the part of Trump I liked. Biden, how do I put this? He bumbles around, and he's like watching a. It's sad. It's elder abuse, and I shouldn't find it funny. But he bumbles around, and he's like watching
You know the thing.
a cringy The Office, the British one, the super cringy The Office. He's like watching that, like you're kind of nauseous and embarrassed that this is happening, but you can't look away. It's a train wreck.
Well,
And Kamala Harris is too. I mean, right now all reports coming out is they're looking at trying to subvert her, get her out, get Buttigieg in somehow, and then they want to try running him in 24.
gosh, they really want to take our guns away.
Yeah,
They really want that stuff.
yeah. I
Yeah.
know they do. Well, that's because the Democrat Party looks at Australia and gets all excited, gets all giddy about being able to build internment camps and things like that.
Well, hey, speaking of guns, let's talk about what's going on the India-China border.
All right,
So
India,
I sent you a
China.
couple articles on that.
Yeah,
Did you read any of them?
I have not had a chance.
All right. Well, so recently, China has been looking for a way to provide military support to a very cold, barren, and desolate region of their borders. And for those of you who don't know, India and China are not the best of friends.
Well, and they've had this annual or all the time they've had these fistfights up there between the two armies.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want open warfare, so they allowed them to have essentially grudge matches in the snow.
Oh, really? Like
Yeah.
actually official
There's
grudge
been
matches?
deaths. They upped the ante. We can't have guns, so some of them brought ball bats and clubs.
Okay.
But yeah, all right. Let's. I'm going to go ahead and work on getting this shared. Keep talking.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, China is one of the most advanced nations in terms of robotics technology. And what a better way to substitute your infantrymen than to use some sort of a robot. So China has been pulling their men back to warmer, safer locations and putting in their stead a robot army of different devices. And I guess that's not incredibly new news, but according to the information out there, these are numbers of robots that are substantially larger than anything that has ever been deployed before. So it's not really that big on the news, of course, and those are the kind of stories I kind of look for, something that isn't really out there in the spotlight, very public. So India's complaining about the new robots that China is putting out on the like the Tibet kind of region.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's where they're having their conflict. And India's pretty worried.
Yeah, Tibet, Nepal area.
Yeah.
But okay, so we'll go ahead and read this off. All right. China has begun deploying robotic vehicles armed with machine guns along its border with India after Chinese troops struggle to handle the altitude and terrain, report said last week. Now, India, I'm digging deep into my current military facts, but India has some pretty awesome mountaineering troops because they mix in with that Nepalese area. And I don't know if China has the same abilities. And that's the part of the military where, environment can make or break a military. Anyways, according to Fox News, China has reportedly deployed unmanned ground vehicles, UGVs, to the Tibet region in an effort to strengthen its position along the border. The PLA, People's Liberation Army, obtained the UGVs in 2014, but they have largely been used until now. I want to see if we have a picture of these UTVs. It sounds like they're ground vehicles that are armed. So imagine it says they have two different types, the Shark Claw and the Mule 200. The former can be controlled by an operator wirelessly in addition to moving on its own, and the latter can act as both unmanned delivery truck or operate weapons, including mounted firearms. So it sounds like they have two models. One would be like our Predator drone on wheels or tracks. And the other one sounds like it's kind of a universal piece of equipment that can be
it looks like a big machine gun with wheels.
That can have ordnance on it, or it can be a delivery system, like a utility truck.
So I mean, and a lot of these little robots, they're just positioning out there to replace sentry duty, I guess.
Ooh. They've deployed nearly 400 vehicles to Tibet, with most of them stationed near the border.
So 400 of those monsters. Human rights groups, including Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, and Harvard Law School's International Human Rights Clinic, have called for world leaders to cease developing war robots for nearly 10 years. And nobody ever listens to those guys. I mean, that's, you know what? It's almost like pissing in the wind to ask the government not to develop better weapons.
Well,
Why would you even waste your resources and time to do that?
let me, I think it was at The Hague prior to World War One, Tsar Alexander went there and asked all the other countries, France and Germany and Great Britain, to please quit making new guns because I'm a backwards country and I opt not to educate, and we're still a feudalist system. Which, hey, here's a note to the globalists that Klaus Schwab, feudalism set you back too, because the Tsar was saying, please quit making stuff better because we can't keep up. And everyone laughed at him and said no. But yeah.
Yep. So yeah, that's China's secret weapon.
Go
The
ahead
fact
and-
they have so many people researching and developing new weapons all the time. We won't be able to keep up. I mean, they're a huge amount of numbers in China versus ours. It's
How much you want to bet that these weapons were mostly R&D here in the U.S.?
what would it really matter?
No, it wouldn't matter. But I mean, that's China's model: R&D in the U.S., build it over there, and then they just steal it.
Yeah,
You know?
put your tentacles out and just suck in all the information from everyone else and save yourself.
I mean,
the time.
how many? I think there was a professor just last week was arrested from, was it Colombia or somewhere, for doing research that the U.S. paid for and giving it to China.
Well, if he was a good-looking woman sleeping with a representative, maybe
Well,
he would have been more successful.
Fen's a little important.
Yeah.
She's different. I mean,
All right.
Swalwell does two things well. One is he rises all the way to the level of being honey potted in, and two, he farts on camera, and that's what he does.
That fart was pretty cool.
That fart was awesome.
He like maintained eye contact. And
I like
kept
how
a
he
smile.
did a little.
He pulled it off. Anyway, let's see what else. What other wonderful statistic do we have in this tidbit? Go back up one more paragraph there. All right. So intelligence reports suggest the Chinese have built at least 10 new air bases along that fortified
I
area.
was hoping you was going to try to read those. Ladakh,
No, I'm not going to try to read it.
Uttarakhand,
We'll just call it the fortified territory between
Arunachal
China and
Pradesh.
So this is a very serious statistic because it's like a 16-month-year-old border conflict. Now you can build 10 air bases in 16 months. That's insane.
It's been longer than 16 months. I do know that China, it was like 2 years ago. They had a fist fight on top of the plateau, and 2 Indian soldiers were killed in this fist fight. The official added that the PLA has previously erected military camps as well as watchtowers equipped with CCTV cameras inside the India-claimed territory of Ladakh to watch for Indian troop deployments. This is inside Indian claimed territory, but China, I'm sure, claims it as well. I mean, this is part of that Belts and Road initiative. China's trying to, what it looks like is they're trying to recapture what the Golden Horde had as far as the Golden Horde's logistical system that spread from China to the Middle East, went up into kind of Central Europe as well. So I mean, they went all the way into Hungary. I think they made it. They were fighting Teutonic Knights, which are German knights. So yeah, the Golden Horde, and I think China is trying to capture that back.
Well, here's the thing. If China and India did kick it off in a full-scale war, all of our products come from China and India for the most part. So there you would have like maybe the perfect storm, and in fact, like we would have nothing on the shelves. We'd look like Venezuela if that happens.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If they kicked off for sure, or man, there's a lot of tough questions on that. A lot of tough questions. And then you've also got there. I'm gonna root around, dig up. And China's economy's hitting a hiccup too. So, I mean, we've got Evergrande's collapsing, and word on the street is when that collapses, the whole world's going down. So, it's that big. Indian soldiers killed by Chinese. Okay. Oh, yeah. This is in Ladakh. 20 Indian troops. 20 Indian troops killed in Ladakh fighting. This is June of 2020. At least 20 Indian soldiers were killed in a clash with Chinese forces in a disputed Himalayan border area, Indian officials say. The incident follows rising tensions and is the first deadly clash in the border area in the last 45 years. So this was just 2 years ago. So yeah, I thought it was 2, but it's 20. Wow.
I don't know how you get motivated to go like get your testosterone level up and get angry about some disputed territory out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, could you imagine like having to do that mission as just like an American soldier? There's like nothing there. Well, and there's other people there at that moment, and you're supposed to get angry at them. And
reminds me of Gitmo.
Huh.
Reminds me of Gitmo. Our Marines that watch at Gitmo, or South Korea. Our soldiers that watch on South Korea. South Korea is interesting. You know, those guys do patrols every day. They go out as light infantry patrols and march the mountains and kind of kick the fence line.
Yeah, so I see the South Korean incident as being, I'm protecting the homeland from an invasion.
U.S. soldiers are doing that, or were.
Well, I'm sure plenty of South Korean soldiers.
Oh yeah,
involved
definitely
in the
South
patrols.
Koreans and U.S. Marines and South Korean Marines. They all do that, you know, just where.
So I can see where the motivation is there.
The sector where I was at. Well, why wouldn't India do that with China just right there?
Maybe, but it's a very barren territory, and I just don't see what each country has to gain by that mountain region unless.
Well,
I mean, how do you get? I don't
from
know.
what I understand,
there's no motivation from my perspective.
It's the route to maintain their Belt and Road Initiative into the subcontinent.
Now, should the Chinese really have a right to build a road at someplace that goes somewhere else that delivers products? Is that such a bad thing?
I don't know, but maybe India doesn't want to be overrun by them. You know,
maybe they're afraid.
Let's say
carry troops over.
Sure, but let's say Canada said, "Hey, we want to build a road to trade with Mexico." Should we just let them? Wouldn't we want to maintain our sovereignty and say, I'll tell you what, how about we build the road and you pay the tax to come across it?
Now, are you talking from my perspective as an individual, or?
Well, from my perspective as the individual, neither state should exist. I'm just explaining to you why they would do that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, from my perspective, I'd be like, yeah, build the road, dude. If we can use the road and it helps us get from point A to point B,
sure.
You're doing a social favor.
It might economically cut out some of your industry from that end destination.
Now, a paranoid government would be like, well, you could put a lot of troops on cars and move very fast from point A to point B, and then secure an area.
I don't think that's a big thing. But let's say, I mean, we know India has a huge export in telemarketing, but let's say India is also building widgets, you know, they're building widgets there, and they sell widgets west to Pakistan. And let's say China says, we're going to build this road, and they build that road. Then China says, all right, now we're going to build widgets, and we're going to undercut you. The next thing you know, part of your economy collapses for something you let them do. I know that's a rudimentary explanation, but would you
But it's not like they're using violence. So if somebody it's the same scenario
But
as
violence was-
letting cars be made in foreign countries versus America. You just put
Sure.
all of Detroit out of business.
Sure. No, Detroit put Detroit out of business, but
Yeah.
sure.
Theoretically, yeah, okay. But
Not theoretically. Detroit put Detroit out of business. You can't build dog shit and expect and then try to compete on a world stage. I mean, there's a reason that you didn't see Lincoln Continentals anywhere but here. Because the thing was slow, gutless, guzzled gas, and you couldn't drive it down any of the streets that were older than, the 60s.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I guess this Belt Road Initiative, is it an act of violence or not?
Well, if you're moving into sovereign territory, I'd say on the world stage, yes.
Mm-hmm.
With my political leanings, I wouldn't want neither government, but there are governments and there is use of force being used to tax these people. So yes. So how would you feel if you owned the widget factory? You poured your heart and blood and sweat and tears and tax money into operating, maintaining it, and then your government gave away your ability to profit off that widget company.
Well, it would be my fault because I didn't pay my congressman or lobbyist enough money to represent me properly.
Okay, so then you paid him enough, and he moved soldiers up there.
Well, soldiers, yeah, okay. I'm talking about construction workers building roads, though.
No, that's fine, but that's what they're doing. India is up there
Right.
to stop China from initiating
The road
movement
build.
through India. So yeah, so you did. And you were asking, is it bad if you let China do it?
Now, would it be advantageous for the population to start setting up taco stands for each side of the military to buy tacos from?
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean,
Hell yeah. I'm
maybe they
telling
could
you.
turn this into
I would do it just like they did
advantage.
in Korea. Man, I'd have cheesy ramen stands all
Mm-hmm.
up and down it. And they would trade you a bowl of cheesy ramen costing in it, 75 cents for an MRE that costs about $7. And they would probably package that MRE up and mail it back to the States to be sold at a surplus store.
Either way, it just seems like a waste of people's time to be
Well,
participating in these kind of reindeer games.
You
I feel
have,
bad for those Chinese soldiers and those Indian soldiers.
yeah, of course, but you have they're adversaries.
Mm-hmm.
They have been for quite a while. They were adversaries when both of them were still completely socialist.
But now they got robots, so at least the
Mhm.
Chinese soldiers can go hang out at
Hey,
McDonald's. and
I'm
wait
going to
for
tell you right
something to
now,
happen.
though, when that robot fails and they've got to call IT, they're talking to an Indian.
Oh damn! How's that gonna work?
It's just what's going to happen. They're going to be communicating with an Indian.
Are you plugged in the back?
Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Oh, you can't win, can you, China?
No. Well, look, China is an emerging power, and I don't think there is anything we can do to stop that. One thing I liked was Trump's steps he was taking. He was working towards bringing industry back here, which I think would put us on a better footing to navigate through. When I say the death of the empire, what I mean is as our foreign projection kind of folds in, the industry back here would help us to maneuver and kind of ride that wave. And so I do like that Trump was doing that. A lot of people mistook it for xenophobia or whatever else, but he was making laws that brought industry back. If the industry isn't back and we do that kind of collapse, we're going to have to start from a collapse. Right now, we're still in a strength position where we can initiate that industry and build it up without too many caloric pains. But if we do it from a collapsed position, we're going to go through a lot of what England went through in the 60s and 70s. England went through some really hard times. They had times where they called them black weeks or something like that, where they just shut the power down for a whole week. England had economic hits that were, well, one, their government went socialist, so they started restricting and doing all the stuff that socialist governments do and killing industry. And also, they had, during Bretton Woods, they had said, okay, we're stepping back, we're done, we're not gonna have that projection, which I think we need to stop our projection on the world stage, our Marshall projection. And I think we need to bring that industry back and be ready to carry on life without us having our military everywhere and all that stuff, but still maintain carrying on life. And I'll be damned if Biden hasn't done everything in his power to make sure we don't have any of that. For any of you guys watching, Biden has set our economy back drastically. And I don't know, and it might be 20 years before, the scales flip, or 40 years, who knows? Well, honestly, gut feeling is China's going to collapse. I don't even think China's going to end up being the emerging power because of this Evergrande collapse coming up. But everyone's playing with Keynesian economics, and that's what's getting everyone.
If you have military type robots enforcing your laws, can you truly collapse?
What do
I mean,
you
your
mean?
population can go hungry and destitute, but
That's a collapse.
unless the people in power feel threatened and nervous and need to evacuate the area
No,
or
it
something
doesn't-
like that, is it really a collapse? Because
Well-
you still have control.
You don't even have to feel nervous and all that. I mean, well, yeah, that comes along with it. I mean, we all remember Ceausescu in Romania. I want every leader right now to just go watch a few Ceausescu videos, especially the last one made. Do you know who that is?
No, I don't know much about
Okay,
Ceausescu.
I think
at all.
I think you should watch it as well.
So what's his gig?
I just watched the video. Report back later. Homework.
Okay.
But Ceausescu, look him up. See what's going. See what happens. So yeah.
Is it a current thing or
No, this was in was it 91? But that's the fall of no, I think it was in 90 or 89. He was a part of that whole fall of the USSR, but I mean, yeah. But if your people starve, if you're not ruling anyone, what does it matter? Was it going to be you, your proletariat, or you and the Politburo, and then a whole bunch of robots running around and everyone else is gone?
Well, my definition of a collapsing government is there's a threat that the current system will go away and be replaced by something else. But if the current system is completely entrenched and invulnerable to that,
My look at collapse is major inflation. Think Venezuela.
so you're thinking of collapse in terms of the peasant. I'm thinking in
Well, the whole
in terms
nation,
of-
the whole nation collapsed. I mean, yeah. What's that bus driver's name down in Venezuela? Not Chavez. Anyways, yeah, he would, while his people are starving, he would sit at his desk and give a speech, and open his drawer and pull out a donut and eat it, which he did. He did that while his people are starving. They'd already ate all the zoo animals. I mean, they went from dogs to cats to anything they could catch out in the field. They cleaned the country dry of all that and then started eating the zoo animals.
but they missed that donut.
And he's standing there eating a donut on live TV. But I see that as a collapse. I see gas prices going to where you have rolling blackouts nationally as a collapse. I see when the president comes on television and says, well, you're going to have to, tighten your belt and do this. I see that as a collapse.
Okay. And I'm thinking maybe in a different terms, because I'm thinking, okay, the leaders of that country are threatened and they have to evacuate, or they have a red flag of danger in their face that says, oh shoot, my life is in jeopardy. And I don't see that happening in China if they have all these robotic systems maintaining control over the population. I mean, yeah, okay, the economies might fall on hard times, but these guys, if they're developing these robotic systems, there's literally nothing that us regular folks could ever conceive of that would really threaten their position of power and authority.
Sure.
So I'm just, okay, yeah, the economy will tank, but you know, people will still have to do what they're told.
Yeah.
And I think we're starting to get to that point here in America too. I mean, we're getting a lot more advanced in robotics. Robotics are going to be a big thing in our children's future. It's
Oh yeah, I don't deny it. I think robot. Well, hell, it was Reagan came out and said, don't stop these kids from playing video games because those are our soldiers of the future. He was right. Our arguably our Predator drones and our Raptor drones are probably the most cost-effective piece of equipment we have in our military.
mm-hmm.
Hands down. If one gets damaged, injured, or shot down, you don't have to write a letter home to mom and dad. You buy a new one.
Have you seen those drone swarms in the the demonstration of the Olympics? And
oh, did you remember
that?
that one from China where they had those two guys that the drone like fireworks show that got hacked or whatever? Yeah.
Yeah, and they're building swarms of those things with bombs on them. I mean, it's like, oh, geez.
Well, the Mexican cartel is using those to assassinate rivals. I think in the last 2 years they've killed 3 people in L.A.
In L.A. with a drone.
Yeah, who knows how many people they've killed in Mexico with one.
Wow, I did not know that.
Let's say you're hunting for a hitman,
mm-hmm.
right? And the hitman costs $800, and a drone costs $800, and a pilot, right? The drone costs $600, the pilot costs $200 to do the job. If the hitman gets caught, you've got someone that can tell on you. If the drone gets caught, you just kill the feed, walk away. So yeah, they're becoming more popular.
I remember there was who's the guy that used to say "Make my day"? What's his name?
Dirty Harry.
That guy, yeah. You remember that Dirty Harry movie where the car chase would be happening, and there's like a secret compartment in the inside of the car, and he'd drop a remote control car that was actually a bomb, and it would go ahead of him and blow up the car in front or something like that. I mean, we're at that point.
Do you remember that movie with Gene Simmons was the bad guy, and Harrison Ford was the good guy, and they had
spiders with the needles on them?
Yeah, the attack spider drones. Yeah. No, it's coming. It is the future. I mean, drones, units now, forward operating units carry like personal observation drones with them. They shoot up into the air. So yeah, it's coming. It's going to happen. We've all seen the documentaries. We've seen Terminator. We've seen the documentary Matrix. It's all happening.
So you're a Second Amendment guy, right?
Extremely.
Okay. So should civilians be able to have drones with guns on them?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah.
The government should not persecute us for having
no
drones with guns on. Okay.
No.
How far do you go with this Second Amendment thing?
As much as you can hold and sustain.
I mean, is there a level of responsibility that humanity should say, all right, you can't make anthrax in your basement? I mean, should we be saying that to the Second Amenders?
Okay, here's my opinion on that. I want to say this to anyways, you want to make anthrax in your basement. All right. If it gets out, we're going to wash you from the planet, and we're going to do it in a very ugly way. You know, like you're going to die, and you're going to die slow and arduous.
Is that...
So let's say a guy, let's call a guy.
What if it was an accident? What if there's an accident?
An accidental release?
Yes.
And the guy was making it for what? I don't care. You're going to take the chance of, let's say I go to the gun range with a deer rifle and I accidentally overshoot the backstop and accidentally hit someone in, on the other side that's, beyond.
Mm-hmm.
Should I be held accountable for that?
Should you be tortured for that? You're talking about, all right.
Okay.
You have to report for death, and it has to be a really publicly grueling, horrible death.
You did an asshole thing that got loose. Sure. Now if I just did
now be careful, because our friends in China had a lab. Never mind. Go ahead.
We don't need. I mean, we could do fictional names, like a guy named Fanthony, Ouchie, right?
And Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, Fanthony Ouchie, paid to have anthrax made in his basement, and it got loose, and I mean. Honestly, let's say it got loose.
Well, what if he had employees? What if he wasn't doing it? He contracted some employees to do it for him.
Okay, but he's the one who initiated the dumbass move of let's make this thing.
Right.
Let's make super anthrax. Okay.
But it's cool according to the Second Amendment.
If you do it safely.
I just want to make sure.
If you do it safely, no one knows. Right? If you do it right, not an issue. One, I'd ask why you're building something you can't control. That's my big question. You can control nuclear weapons a lot more than you can control a disease. Disease goes where it's going to go. But I would just say, if you do a dumbass thing, I would say we hold you accountable in proportion to the damage done. How about that?
Poor Anthony Ouchie, or
Fanthony
Ouchie.
Fanthony Ouchie.
Yeah.
And Blizzazic. Well, he had a buddy. Anyway, so what I would do is, we could have an agreement, not a law, an agreement that says your death will last a second for every person that was killed by your I don't want to say mistake, but by your negligence.
You're right. All right. So what if you're a 24-year-old truck driver in Colorado that has a vehicle accident and your brakes are going out and you're supposed to pull in and crash and die, but you keep going and other people
actually
crash
if he'd ran off the truck escapes, he wouldn't have crashed at all.
Yeah, you don't think so?
I know you don't.
Okay.
Have you ever been up one?
Well, I've seen the one at going towards Dugway, and I always have these Dukes of Hazzard fantasies going off in my head as I drive by.
What are you driving in when you go there?
I used to drive one of those UTA passenger vans.
Okay, what I'd like you to do is you can go ahead and try this tomorrow.
No, it's cool.
In your vehicle, drive out there, and just pull off onto that gravel. It's like 9 inches deep of that pea gravel. It stops you. If you want to drive up past it, you get off to the side and drive on the hard. But if you try driving up the gravel, it stops you. It's thick and deep. It's designed, it's engineered to safely stop trucks.
Okay.
Now, should the business shoulder some of that responsibility?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
That's had the truck that was failing and they had multiple. Okay. Do you think the guy getting 108 years, he got 108, right?
110.
110 years.
Yeah,
do you think that's
bit.
appropriate to what happened?
Well, I mean, if we go off of the logic that we were following, I hate when they do that. You know what? I'm just going to let this phone go, and I'll let the person listen to our show. That should be the torture that they have to
All
endure.
right.
Yeah. So if
I mean,
an accident occurs,
that's
okay.
That's the question, and that was a neglectful action.
Mm-hmm.
But did he do something out of the ordinary, like making a disease?
Well, no, he did not.
He did something that's done
Every day.
millions of times every day.
Okay. All right. I see where this logic is going. So he's doing things that naturally
Was he
occur
the
in society.
first person to ever get into a semi truck and say, "Hey, I'm going to deliver products from point A to point B, and I'm going to do it"? The first person to ever do it. Now, granted, a more experienced truck driver would have probably not had the same outcome, but this guy was younger and not very experienced, and from all accounts, not capable of what happened. The reason he got 108 years is because the laws are written as such that everything gets stacked.
Right.
I also don't really necessarily like stacking prosecution. I don't like that. I think it's kind of asinine.
Well, didn't you just suggest we stack prosecution for every death you get?
Okay.
Like a
No.
second of painful
Not prosecution, punishment.
punishment. Okay. All right. Now,
Let's say I accidentally kill one person, right?
a year's time is punishment, Jared.
Sure.
You stack those years on top of each other to 110.
Let's say I accidentally kill someone, and okay, we'll go off two different standards. One, I'm at the range, I overshoot the backstop, it flies out, hits someone, and kills them. Could I see myself going to jail? You bet your ass. Let's say it's 4th of July and I step out on my front porch and start popping rounds into the air. Could I see myself really getting in trouble? Because one, I did an accidental move. The other one, I did a neglectful. Right? Now let's say I invent something that has a possibility to cause mass death, just seeing if I could. And I didn't take the appropriate steps to manage why I chose to do this. So all different circumstances.
Well, hopefully you're just supported by the right
None of
political
them-
party and you're safe.
None of them carry intent. None of them,
Mm-hmm.
but they all carry different levels of negligence. One bullet, one injury. Unless you're, a movie star on set, then it's one bullet, two injuries. But, one bullet, one injury. But you make something that grows and reproduces and modifies itself. It's a whole different animal.
It must be hard and tempting to just sit back with that kind of knowledge and not use it.
It's tough. It is. I imagine that if you know how to make super bugs, it's tough to not make them in a place that already has pretty bad record of maintaining them. It's got to be grueling knowing that you can do that.
It's like going into an ice cream shop and not ordering ice cream. You just watch other people order ice cream.
It's got to be a level beyond that. It's like being a crackhead and going to a crack house to sit and watch cartoons and not do crack. It's got to be heavy, knowing that you can make this super disease and you're already known to be kind of a crappy person and a liar. You just got to do it, You just got to. And then when you're asked about it later on, you've got to gaslight a whole nation and sitting members of the government. It's too much. How would you not?
Lord help me, I can't help myself.
Yeah. Anyways, I think that's about it for us. We bled everyone off and And no one's bringing comments right now. Now this show's going to be broken up and taken down and put up in smaller portions so that you can enjoy Jesse Wilson again. We want to thank him for coming on. I'm excited to see what comes out of Grantsville now that they've got this city manager running. And of course, I'm excited to see what comes out of Tooele. I'm excited to see Erda and Lake Point. We're going to see Lake Point going through the electoral system. I think we're going to start seeing it this year. And there might be some, like, I don't know how they're going to run. I think they're going to have 4 or 5 people, maybe 2 run on a special election, 3 run on a full term or something like that. I don't know. I've got to find out how they run that.
Well, if they had a spelling bee, that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is Lake Point, so, you know.
They'll probably just play football.
It'd be reading highlights. No, Lake Point will be reading highlights and roping cattle. Anyways, thanks for joining us. Yeah. We've decided that this is how we're going to start doing the show. So the end of the show, if you don't like non-county stuff, that's where it's going to end up being. But
I'm going to make a suggestion, Jared. So during our current event session, we kept up the Jesse Wilson graphic.
Oh, I should have taken that down, huh?
Yeah, maybe we need a current events graphic.
Yeah, I can do that. All right, for next time we will do that. We'll get rid of that, and we can get rid of that right there. Yeah, so next time I'll make sure we do that. We'll have something ready to go. I have kind of like intermission type stuff, you know. But this stuff is going to be broken down. I think I should be able to edit that out. Post.
Now, I think our next show is the guy from the Crypto 6. Right?
Crypto 6, that's on Saturday, right? Not tomorrow, but next Saturday.
I got to double check.
Okay, double check that. But Crypto 6 is a cryptocurrency guy. They got raided by
the government.
The feds, I think. It was the FBI.
The government don't like them.
So I'd like to know what they did. They did something with some ATM machines, crypto ATMs. So got to see what happened there and how that works out. But anyways, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week. We might even, if they are on Saturday, we'll piece together a Friday show. We'll bring on a local personality.
We'll figure something out.
Try to get Jess Bird on, maybe. You know?
He's a character.
Yeah, well, and also he covers that Erda area. I want to know what's going on in Erda and how they're doing. All right, have a good night.
Take care.